All right, guys, welcome back to Beat the Game. This is Steve, and today we're going to talk all about Hulk. All right, so I'm going to be putting together a bunch of decks for solo play, and I'm going to suggest decks for multiplayer. And again, it's going to depend on your play style, and then you can choose what you like, what you don't like, and you can tell me I'm wrong in the comments, or you can do just whatever. Now, a lot of people give Hulk a lot of grief because of his hand size and the fact that he can't save cards. Now, yes, this is a big hindrance, and I'm not saying Hulk is amazeballs and he is the best character in the game. No, but he does have a lot of potential if you build him accordingly. Now, one of the biggest issues that people have is like, oh, Hulk can only do one thing a turn. Not true, because I've played Hulk games where I attack 4 or 5 times in a row and then I finish with a double Hulk smash. Okay, it's possible. Just like any other character, it takes a few turns to build up. But I think what people are afraid of is taking the time to actually build a Hulk deck that works. Okay, so most people are just focused on one thing, which is, again, it's a mindset. Is you see Hulk, you see, I want to Hulk smash and finish the villain in 2 to 3 turns. Now, if you're playing standard, easy. You'll do it every time, all right, or 90% of the time, provided you don't get a guard minion. You can technically ignore anything else. But if you want to play on an expert level, now there's certain scenarios and campaigns that are going to be a little bit more challenging. There's more guards, there's more minions, there's more side schemes, and all that at one point can add up if you don't plan ahead. Now, one of the things a lot of people do in a Hulk aggression deck is they'll just put a ton of events in his deck just to try to win the game. Now, that is a good strategy. I call that the juggernaut tactic. But that just means you tank face, you tank, and then you punch. You tank, you punch, you tank, you punch. And then hopefully you can outrace the villain. Now, it is a strategy. It is not always the best strategy in expert, and especially with some of the more complicated scenarios, it's going to be pretty challenging, and you'll have a very high lose rate. Now, if you build your decks accordingly for the long game, for bosses that you know they're going to take a couple of extra turns to try to beat, then I think you have a better chance to build a Hulk deck that is going to make a lot of sense. Now, one of the tips I'm going to give you guys for Hulk, always include as much resources as you can. So don't be shy. If you're playing aggression, put the doubles. Put the other 3 doubles and then in his deck with his kit, you now technically have 9 double resources. So that's one out of, it's almost 1/4 of your deck is resource cards. Now, okay, yeah, but Steve, what if I get a hand with all resources? It's gonna happen. Okay, it does happen. It's happened to me a couple times, but there is ways around that. It's depending on what kind of cards you play. So, oh, I'm stuck with a hand with like 5 resources. Okay, let's check this out. Playing cards that are a little bit more expensive than the norm is where you want to do what you want to do with Hulk. So don't be afraid to play cards that are a little bit pricier. And I think the best cards to play in Hulk are cards like Heimdall, Two Thwart, War Machine, Tough and Two Thwart, Lockjaw, always being able to play him from your discard pile, Two Thwart, Nick Fury, draw more cards, Two Thwart. Those are the kind of allies you want to be running. And then some of the other cards you want to be running that are expensive. All right, I'm talking about Avengers, Mansion, and Queen Carrier. This you could basically put in any Hulk deck. And then you will be super good. You can help with threat, you can help with damage, you'll have the resources you need, and then you'll have more resources, then you'll be able to do more things, and then you won't feel so limited and constrained with Hulk. And that is one of the big things that I want to talk about. So don't be afraid to play high cost cards with Hulk when you give him the tools to pay for those things. Now, this is an aggression deck, so I did put in a few of the allies. Again, in aggression, we have Tigra and Spider-Girl And then we also have a blocking bird. So these are all like 3-cost cards. And like most of the time you can only play that 1 card if you don't get a double. But because we're filling our deck with double resources and triple resources, well, there's been a couple turns where I played Nick Fury into a Heimdall. Yeah, it happens. That's 9 resources with a 4-card hand size. You're like, holy smokes, that's possible? Yes, it is possible with Hulk. All right, so again, putting cards like Queen Carrier and Avengers Mansion just increase that. All right, other techniques here, I also put in the Wasp. Cheap allies are always good, just in case you do need a blocker on the go, or if you get the lightning resources, you're good, because with a power of and a Queen Carrier, all of a sudden you're hitting for 3. Now, I also like to use Hulk and aggression, but as a defense guy. I don't worry about Hulk smash too much, but I do defend a lot, and then I let my allies with the boot camp do the work. So allies with the boot camp just come in and punch. She punches for 4. She's a definite minion killer at 3. She's always on the board. She's an Avenger. And then all the other allies, they punch for 3. Heimdall punches for 4. So it becomes really, really good. But you want to save Heimdall for, threat removal. Aside from that, some of the good cards as well is that you want to be playing are Into the Fray. And you'll pay for that. So these are very situational. Again, you have to have a couple. If there's a minion in play, great. But they also pay for Wasp. And then you'll pay for that. You'll take a big hit with Hulk. You don't want to defend. Perfect. You'll get rid of a side scheme. You take 5 damage. You remove 5 threat for 1. Hulk has the life total to make that possible and make it worth it. So these are really good cards in solo play that is going to make an incredible impact on your game. And aside from that, a little bit of combat training just to give Hulk a little bit more of an attack. And then because we do have a few Avengers, there you go. You can use the Avengers to ready Hulk and then punch. And then if you ever get stunned or stuff like that. So these Earth's Mightiest Heroes are going to do the work. And we're going to test our theory. We're going to fight off against Green Goblin, Mutagen, on Expert, and we're going to add the Temporal minions, which is the ones that can stun you when they come out as boost cards. So again, we're going to show you that you can build a Hulk deck and you can just smash face. Now, I'm not trying to this is a good Hulk deck. Again, you're not relying on Hulk to do all the damage. You have your allies, and again, you're playing against maybe a longer scenario like Kang or even like Mutagen formula, where it's very hard to win on turn 1 or turn 2. Yeah, maybe you can flip, but then you're dealing with like 7 encounter cards, and you might just die there. So you got to play a little bit more of a long game with Hulk. So there you go. So this is a good option for this deck. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to play Mutagen formula, but let's talk about a multiplayer game now. What can I do with Hulk in a multiplayer setting? I'm just going to press pause, and then I'm going to show you a different avenue, and that's going to be also including some of the new cards that are coming up with what's her face there, Valkyrie. There's a new card called Quick Strike that is really going to make this deck super fun in multiplayer, and we'll be able to do tons of damage, which is going to be very fun in aggro. So give me 1 sec. So here's my the deck I've been playing around with, and it's super fun, and it's another aggression deck where Hulk doesn't really attack. It is a deck where Hulk takes damage but utilizes cards like Crushing Blow and the new card, which is called Quick Strike, which I'm just putting in as Browbeats because it's the kind of same cost and everything, which says this one you can only pay with a physical that says deal damage equal to your attack. And then this one is, again, deal damage equal to your attack. So then it's 5 big attack spells. So what you want to do is you want to build your board state with Hulk. So you really want to be playing the Boundless Rage, and then you want to be playing the Combat Training. So that gives you an attack of 5. But you're like, Steve, an attack of 5, that's not that amazing. But it does become amazing when you have an attack of 6, 7, and 8 because of the Brute Force. Now, the Brute Force says your hero gets +1 attack, and that is permanent until the force response is triggered. And it says after you make a basic attack, discard Brute Force. So we don't want to make basic attacks with Hulk. So again, on the first turn you can, you put you make your basic attack and then you play your brute force, so you at least don't lose it. But then once you have all of this, you have a +5 attack permanent state. So that is insane value. So now for 1, you're doing 8 damage. For 2, you're doing 8 damage. And then there's ways to really have some fun with that and just, have martial prowess to pay for that. So tons of resources. And then while you are setting up and you are playing in the multiplayer setting, then you have like 3 into the phrase. So you're always taking care of that main scheme. And then you have a downtime and an endurance in case you do have to flip down at one point. And then you have a lot more health. And then because you have all these double resources, obviously you're putting in an Avengers Mansion and a Quinn Carrier and a Helicarrier, so you can actually help the other players. So that's weird. Like Hulk, normally Hulk is always the one absorbing all the resources, but now you're just helping everyone else out. And then you have a Nick Fury and a Lockjaw again for that just little onrush of I need to thwart now, or I need to build now. So Lockjaw and Nick Fury are the 2 only allies, and they're there to just help out if ever there's like a push for threat or they need blockers. Lockjaw you can just keep playing Lockjaw over and over from your discard pile. So that's where you want him to stay. So this is a deck I've been working on, and it's super fun. I played it in a multiplayer game. And when you have a couple of the quick strikes and a crushing blow, and you play them all at the same once, and then you suddenly Hulk how he's exhausted and still does 24 damage. Super, super solid. So again, this is a very fun deck. Again, if you like that, it's great. I played it against Kang, and I took out my Kang in like 2 seconds because I was like, boom. And I had the retaliate one, so it was annoying, but it doesn't really matter. So if you want to add a couple of extra cards, if there's a good thwarter in the group, maybe replace these with some moments of triumph, and then you're just like healing up, and you're always in hero form, so you never have to flip down. So that's a super fun deck for Hulk. So just don't forget, these are the quick strikes, not browbeats. We're at the same cost because I'm just playtesting with the deck. So those 5 events, and then everything else is pretty much permanence or threat removal. So again, you can also get rid of events. Like I said, I'm not a big event fan with Hulk. The less you can play events, the better it is. So if you want to switch that, make that into more permanence, you could add a Death Focus. You could add what's the other one? Death Focus, Honorary Avenger. And then you could probably add something else like a Crew Quarters or something like that if you ever have to flip down. So to make it even quicker, and then you cycle through these cards a lot faster. So that is the deck, guys, in a nutshell for multiplayer. So now let's go play up against Green Goblin with the other deck I showed you. And so you can see like how Hulk, even in solo, can kick some butt. All right, we'll be back. All right, guys, now let's take a look at Hulk in protection. For solo, Hulk is a different beast than most of the other ones. So a lot of times you'll be like, oh yeah, he has that 3 defense, perfect, I'll use the perfect defense strategy, and which is okay, but that strategy is really not meant for Hulk. And I'll explain why I don't think that's a very valid strategy. The problem is Hulk doesn't get to keep his hand. So if you get those events that give you the +2 stats that can stun and ready, and if you get it in your hand, you have to discard it. So it's really hard to create a tempo with that. Now, here's something that's a little bit, this is my opinion, again, you guys, whatever. If you don't like it, you don't like it, you can write it in the comments. Steve, I think your Hulk protection deck makes no sense. But this is what I see for Hulk protection. Obviously, the basic cards we're going to talk about after, because most of them are just coming back. But for the protection kit, obviously you want to run those double resources, all right? Because most of our kit is going to be extremely expensive. Iron Fist is going to help with the stuns, because we don't really want to exhaust Hulk to defend. Hulk wants to attack. And then Iron Fist, he can just, punch the villain and stun him a couple times, go away and block. Then we have Black Widow. Black Widow is going to be our saving grace. We don't want to get Shadows of the Past. Perfect. We just pitch a card, a mental resource, get rid of it. All right? And then take something else. And then as far as allies and protection, those are our main two guys. And then we have cards like med teams that are going to keep these guys healed. Well, mostly it's going to be for Black Widow, because when she's on the table, we want to keep her there, and then she can always thwart for 2 when we're in a bind, and then we can heal her. And we have a card, we have an honorary Avenger for that, for her. Aside from that, we want to keep our people tough. So we're running 2 Mustered Courages. Now, in the beginning of the game, it's 3 for 2 toughs. Now, if you have a Limitless Strength, it's 1 card for 1 card and 2 toughs, which makes a lot of sense, all right? But you can't always count on having those triple resources. That's why we have those double resources there too. Now, the other ones as well is we want to also have some damage output. So we want to have that 4 damage to an enemy, and if we kill that enemy or defeat that enemy, we also get a tough status card. So again, we want to be playing with that tough status as much as possible. And then if ever we get stunned or confused, then we have the nurse that can just, make it all better and kiss our boo-boos. Now, for the basic cards for this deck, again, like I said, we're going to be putting in a honorary Avenger for Black Widow, so then she can thwart twice without dying, or she can, always be ready. Again, the double resources that are the the 3 doubles that we know of, and the 2 powers in all of us. Again, always important, because our other allies, we have 4 allies that we like to run in protection, which is Lockjaw and Heimdall. Again, they thwart for 2, and then they're just there to manage threat. In solo, threat management is extremely important. All right, so that's why we got these guys. And then again, if we have all these double resources, often we can pay them with 2 cards, and it makes a lot of sense. All right, and then, so there we go. So I'm not going to explain these guys again. Again, we're going to be running an Avengers Mansion and a Quinn Carrier. You're like, Steve, that's a lot of setup, a lot of build. But you can pay for it really fast. And once it's on the table, it's there. It's there to stay. And then we have a Death Focus, again, to help pay for these other cards that, either we need to thwart or we need to, deal 3 damage. There's a bunch of minions that came out. 3 damage to all the minions. And then we have 3 Assess the Situations. Now, this is one, I love running these in protection because, again, we want to stay in Hulk form, and sometimes our hand's weird and stuff like that. So having Assess the Situation in our hand makes us get a better card. Like, we're not just discarding that card for no reason. Now we actually have something to do and give us a +1 hand size for the next round, which makes it super efficient. Again, this is a very, very control type deck, so it's super solid. Again, we're not using protection as our defense. Defense is not our key to win. Our defense here is having fun, putting allies, using some stun, using some tough status cards, and I think that is the best way to go for this, especially if we're going to be fighting Thanos, who's going to be stalwart. I like to challenge these decks against without using the status effects as much as possible. Again, if you're more of a stun guy, you can stun. Like, if you don't want to stun, you can get rid of Iron Fist and just put Luke Cage in there. Luke Cage is an awesome ally, 5 health, and then he punches for 10 before he goes away. Super good. Again, he can help with all that stuff. Or, you can, keep him stunned a couple times. Again, now a lot of people like, well, Steve, why aren't you running the triumvirate there of the multiple men? Well, the multiple men, yes, it's super good, but it gives you some options in multiplayer. And again, we're going to talk about multiplayer in a second. The reason I don't like it in solo is because I want Black Widow on the table for control. I want to be able to have Heimdall come into play and just, wreck face and just tell me what's coming. I like to have Lockjaw available all the time. If I commit to the multiple men with Hulk, and this is just, again, we're talking about Hulk. If I commit to the multiple men, then that means I don't get to play the other cards, which I want. All right, so there you go. So that is it for solo play. Now let's take a look at the multiplayer build. All right, so now for multiplayer, some of the cards are going to remain the same. So as you notice, I got rid of the 2 powers of all of us. I also got rid of Lockjaw, Heimdall, and all that stuff. If we're playing in a multiplayer game, I don't think these things are going to matter too much. But what we did keep is those Mustered Courages, because I do believe that this is a super strong card in protection. Super underrated. Obviously, to be removed if somebody is the villain you're playing has piercing or a lot of ping damage, like the sharks or the concussive blast from Ultron. But I still think these are super solid cards to have. Again, Avengers mentioned Queen Carrier can definitely be replaced in a Helicarrier if you're looking to if you're playing in multiplayer. That's always a debate. All right, now the allies we're running. This is where you run multiple man, just in case Hulk can't do all the work by himself. Those they can all thwart for one once or attack for one. Just remove a tough or something like that, and then they're just constant blockers. Also very good with Muster Courage because you can kind of take him out and then keep him there until you shuffle. You're ready to shuffle your library. Okay, then I need to get rid of all three because I want to shuffle them back in. Because remember, you can only once you get one, you can only play it from your hand or the deck. So if it's in your discard pile, you won't be able to search for all three, which kind of gets a little annoying. Aside from that, we are going to be running a whole bunch of the one-cost upgrades: the vest, the unflappable, electrostatic armor, and hard to ignore, because we will be trying to defend for other people and for ourselves. We're going to be adding also the Nerves of Steel, and then we're just going to be going very easy with the 3 Desperate Defense, 2 Sidesteps, and 3 Never Back Downs. This is, again, to have at least 8 events that can help us defend for other people. So obviously Desperate Defense is probably the better one. Never Back Down, again, is good for when we get attacked first, because then we can technically, because we don't get to ready. So there's ways to play around it. You know, if you have both, play the Desperate Defense first. Hopefully you get to ready, and then you can play the Never Back Down again. So this is very, very solid. Again, some people might say, well, forget the Muster Courage. If you have a lot of ping damage, replace those with the barriers there, electrostatic barriers, because those barriers will help you make sure that you guys get to trigger this. So again, quick fix depending on the scenario you're playing, but this is a super solid deck. Again, you'll have your resources to play all the cards that you need, the multiple men or the Muster Courages, even though there's only 5 cards. I know my friend Kennedy would be like, oh, there's only 5 cards. I'm not running double resources for that. But for a Hulk deck, more resources you have on the table, the better. The better the chances you get a double resource, the better it is. And it's a wild anyway. So that's a quick, simple deck for Hulk protection in multiplayer. Super simple. There you go. Now, people say like, well, I want to run Hulk Justice. Now, I can show you a super solid Hulk Justice solo, but there's no reason to want to play Hulk Justice in a multiplayer deck. It just doesn't make sense, okay? So, but I'll show you a Hulk Justice solo play. That's super solid again. Again, a lot of threat control, a lot of flippy floppy back and forth with Banner to Hulk, which, you know, makes this a lot more interesting. All right, so let's go back. All right, so Hulk Justice in solo is actually very, very feasible, and it's actually super, super fun. But multiplayer Hulk is just looking for disaster, and unless you're playing with 2 or 3 other characters that are going to be very, very strong thwarters by themselves, you're probably looking for trouble. All right, so that means it is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just basically all you're going to be doing is you're trying to put beat cops down, which is still too slow. You're going to be trying to put heroic intuitions on everyone but you. You're going to be putting skilled investigators on everyone but you. You'll be playing sense of justice on everyone but you. So all you're going to be doing is just thinning out Hulk's deck and just playing cards to thin out your deck. And then once you're there, Hulk is going to be an aggressive player and just do what he does best. Well, that's, you know, it's a strategy. And that's a very cool way for cooperation, but it's not the best. It's not, well, you know what? It doesn't. Who cares if it's the best or not? If that's what you feel like playing, you should definitely play that. But it's just it might hinder your group's efforts into, you know, making a game not last 5 hours. All right, so that's one strategy. All right, so here we go. So again, for resources in Justice, we're going to be running the doubles and the doubles, but we're only going to run 5 because with the other ones, we're going to have 7, so we should be good. Again, the classics, Queen Carrier or Helicarrier and the Avengers Mansion. Always important with Hulk, always want to ready. Because we're going to be flipping a lot back and forth, we're going to have a bigger hand size here with that and in the lab. All right, so it is all about upgrades. We are going to be running a few allies like Daredevil, like Coulson, and like Wiccan. That's to just ping toughs off the creatures or the villains. And then these guys, just between these guys, they can manage as much threat as you can imagine. All right, aside from that, we're going to be running beat cops. All right, we're going to be running a triumvirate of beat cops. Again, super easy. We're going to flip, and then once we have a couple of these set up, we can just spend most of our turns in alter ego and just, okay, whatever. We can just manage everything. Aside from that, we're going to be running obviously the most of the upgrades that we know. So skilled investigators, sense of justice, counterintelligence, and the under surveillance, which pretty makes solo play almost an easy win at that point. All right, unless you're extremely unlucky. Now, to make sure that even if we are unlucky, we do have some solutions. We're running 2 sonic rifles, 2 spy crafts that have to be played when you go get Agent Coulson, and then an interrogation room, and just 1 event in our deck, which is a concussive blow, which is basically the same thing that we want to do in a multiplayer game, is just play all your stuff, leave your stuff on the table, and then bang, bang. Now, Steve, you're counting your cards like that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm missing a couple of cards. Well, therein lies what you want to do. So there's a couple of options. You can put a couple more allies. You could put Quake. You could put Speed or Spider-Man. You can put whatever you want. Or if you want to run a couple of events, now this is your choice. Because we are going to be flipping back and forth, my main choice would always be lay down the law. But since we're playing in solo play, and some people really like to draw cards, they would like to play clear the area. So you can either choose, lay down the law or clear the area. Or one of my personal favorites is multitasking, which you get to play 2 thwart and 2 thwart from another scheme. So if there's a side scheme, you can actually deal with both side schemes at the same time and the main scheme. So my choice is either lay down the law or multitasking or even one of each, depending on what the situation arises. But this is a super solid Hulk Justice deck. Again, the villain's going to be confused a lot. He won't know what's happening. What? And yeah, with all these, the beat cops, removing threat, and then the couple of allies that are there to help as well. And you in hero form until you go down to like super low health. And then you just like, okay, well now I have my allies out, I got my beat cops out, I have all the threat under control, I have the under surveillance, which my threshold is a lot higher. I can confuse him. Oh, there you go. Now I'm gonna go and stay down, heal a couple turns, play and have a bigger hand size, blah blah blah, and then just end up winning the game. It might take you a couple extra turns, but whatever, you're still pretty much guaranteed to win with Hulk Justice if you're playing this in this manner. All right, so either you're flipping and everything. So these are just whichever one you want for that. Is there anything else you could change? Yeah, you could probably add a couple of extra cards. But again, unless you're running allies, Speed is the only other good one because he can remove 8 threat in 2 turns, which is super strong in solo. Jessica Jones, unless you're playing like Norman Osborn with a lot of side schemes, or even Jessica Jones is actually super good if you're playing Claw. Like I would run Jessica Jones over Daredevil if I'm playing Claw, or before Wiccan. It's because she can just come in, there's 2 side schemes, boom. There you go, Expert Claw. I just removed your Immortal Claw on turn 1, yay. With Jessica Jones, boom, done. There you go, and that's how you want to do it. So there you go, guys. So this is Justice, and then let's look at a leadership deck. Again, I'm not going to talk about a multiplayer Justice Hulk because it just doesn't make it. Like I said, it's doable, but it's like I'll let you guys figure that one out. But for solo play, this Hulk Justice, no problem. I did forget to mention though, at one point, if you're playing solo justice, your thwarting guys won't have nothing to do. So one of the good things about it is instead of putting those, flip spells or the two event cards, run the Earth's Mightiest Heroes instead, and have Wiccan and another Avenger like Quake into the table, and then use those to just punch more often with Hulk and finish the game quicker. I forgot to mention that, so there you go. So instead of the more thwarting events, just have something to ready and then untap, exhaust Avengers. It still works in both ways. So, there's a big crisis, then you can just exhaust Hulk and ready your Avenger and then do it again. So again, there's ways around that. All right, so there you go. So again, now let's look at leadership. All right, guys, let's talk about Hulk leadership, man. This deck is just broken. It's super, super solid, solo or multiplayer. Let's look at the resources. So we got the 3 double resources here and the 2 powers of. Again, we don't need the gray, the 2 powers of gray. We're good. All right. The upgrades we're running in this one are 3 sky cycles, and this is going to be super important. All right, so this is actually going to set up a bunch of combos where Hulk can just smash face like a monkey. All right, and then we want to make sure that we can have 6 allies, well, 5 allies plus what's-her-face Stinger. So the Triskelion and the Avengers Tower makes us 5, and then we get super, super solid. All right, so what we're running here is as many Avengers as we can. So we're running US Agent, Hawkeye, Ronin, Squirrel Girl, Stinger, and Ant-Man. So 2, 4, 6. Now, if you want, you can add a couple more if you want to make sure that you find your allies fast. It's just going to bring the deck over 40. But if you're going to do that, I definitely recommend just bringing in Wonder Man and Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, because that will give you 8 allies. So definitely be able to put them down fast. And then you can also rotate. It's not bad. Like I said, it's just the first ones you find, you play. Obviously, the better one is Ronin and Ant-Man because they can have a thwart of 2 once they have an equipment. So that is super solid. Now, once that's done, all you want to do is have those 6 draw with strength in numbers. You get 2 Avengers Assemble in your deck, so you can draw Avengers Assemble. And then you can draw again, so that gives you like 12 cards, and then you can ready 3, and then with those 3 readies you get Earth's Mightiest Heroes, so then you can attack like 5 times with a double Hulk smash and just kill. And then the last 2 cards is United We Stand. So there's 2 ways you can do it. If you don't want these United We Stands, which is fair if you don't want them, I use them because then I can use my allies and then just heal them for 1 card. I can heal 2 allies for 1, so it gives me a couple of activations with my allies, and it helps me set up my combo faster because then I don't have to worry about always paying for another ally. So I can just play my allies, strengthen numbers, go. That's it. Play your allies, strengthen numbers, go. There is no other thing to play. You don't care about your well, this could help because you can use it, but you don't care about immovable object. You don't care about Hulk smash. You don't care about anything other than finding allies, putting them down, and then strengthen numbers, Avengers Assemble. And that's it. That's the deck. And then you'll see, like, even in a multiplayer deck, if you watched the video I did with Brant on the portal, it's pretty bonkers. Hulk was doing like 2, we need to remove a whole bunch of threat. All right, well, I have a double, what's it called? Suborbital leap. Oh yeah, well, now I'm going to do my Avenger thing, and then I'm going to do double Hulk smash to deal 26 damage. Again, it's a super fun way to play Hulk. I think it's probably the best way to play Hulk in leadership. You can do the same with pretty much any Avenger character, and it's always going to be like broken. Like leadership with strength in numbers is just insane value, and because we have the United We Stands, we don't have to worry too much about not using our allies. So we can just kind of use our allies to help out on threat and on control, and then just go. And again, we don't care about, we just want the sky cycles on them to be able to ready them, to be able to punch multiple times with Hulk. And then that's it. So Hulk just punches all the enemies and then sets himself up for a mega finish. Super, super fast. Again, depending on your card draw, you can set this up by the end of your first deck pass if you are lucky enough with the card draw. Don't be afraid to go down to Alter Ego and just take a turn. And like if you have a couple cards like, oh no, I'm going to lose my strength in numbers, flip down. Let the scheme pop to the next level. Doesn't matter. It's not going to last long enough to matter. So there you go. So guys, this is Hulk Leadership Ultimate Smash, where again, in one turn you can easily you can punch 5-6 times and then just do a double Hulk smash finish. Super fun to do. Super fun. All right, guys. So that is it. So I'm going to be actually playing all these decks that I showed you guys. I'll be playing all of them. I'll just post a little videos with Hulk, and then so you can see like it against challenging scenarios, and then boom, there you go. You'll see what it looks like when Hulk, if Hulk is good or not. And again, I've explained the decks. You should be able to figure the rest out. And again, it's just there's a little bit of luck of the draw, but there's also a lot of bit of like decision making. If you're playing this deck, do not sacrifice your allies for any reasons. Don't care. I don't care if you're going to die. Do not sacrifice your allies. Do not. You're not going to die. All right? Defend with Hulk. Just defend with Hulk. Hulk doesn't care about attacking. Use your Hulk smash. You want to attack? Then use the Nerd's Mightiest Heroes. Poof. And then punch. That's it. That's all you have to do. Boom. Super simple. Super efficient. Hulk Leadership gets the job done. Solo or even multiplayer. Money. It's money. All right, guys. So I hope this will help you play. Oh man, I should do the basics Hulk. Oh man, I will do Hulk and basics. You know what? Give me 2 seconds. Hulk and basics is just super good now. It's even better than it was before. All right, I'll come back with some Hulk basics. All right, so I have to redo this video because I actually got the Mad Titan Shadow in the mail. So I was like, yes! So I'm redoing the video because my original build for leadership was a little different for this. So this is going to be for solo play. So it's going to be a lot of allies, all right? So that's super important. So we got Ant-Man, Stinger, Wonder Man, Squirrel Girl, Hawkeye, White Tiger, US Agent, Iron Man, and Captain America. Now the reason why I have like cards like Captain America is like if you get him a little bit later in your draw, he can become pretty much free, especially if you have an Avengers tower. Now he counts every Avenger. So if you have a Triskelion and you have, let's say, Stinger and 4 allies, that's 5 plus yourself is 6. Captain America is free. He's basically a 6 cost ally for free. It is bonkers. He's so good. White Tiger is another one that has a 2 thwart and makes you draw cards for the stage number of the villain. So very cool. And then obviously the rest of the guys you already know. Now for the rest of the cards, so the reason why we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 allies is because we want to make sure that we get at least 1 a turn. Every turn we want to play an ally and we want to keep it there. Okay, because we want to trigger cards like strength in numbers. So the strength in numbers is also going to accelerate our deck as much as possible. So once we have like 1 or 2 allies, okay, we draw 2 cards, 3, 4, 5, and up to 6 allies, which is just broken with Hulk. All right, and then cards that were going to help us to achieve that is going to be obviously the Avengers Tower and Triskelion. And now we also going to have a team training, so they can each have a little bit more health. So we can use our allies just not to draw cards, but also to be efficient in the scenario. And then finally, this support card, which is Mighty Avengers, and you are going to see in this in the game that I'm playing against Kang the Conqueror, is just insane. Like giving all of the Avenger allies a +1/+1 if all of my characters are Avengers is the new normal. It's the new, oh my god, this card is broken. It is so good. So good. All right, and this is pretty good if you're playing leadership and the other guy's playing aggression Avengers. Oh my god. So you can do that, the same thing for the other guy too. So that is pretty cool. All right, and then as far as resources go, obviously we have the 2 limitless strengths, the 3 doubles, the 1 power of leadership, and then the band together. So I didn't want to put two of these or even three of these. Because again, it's a Hulk deck. I can't save resources if ever I have to flip. And again, this is only good if you have allies out. So if you have no allies, it doesn't even generate a resource. Okay, so that's super important. So you got to make sure that you have allies out to be able to get a wild resource for every ally up to 3. So once you have 1 or 2 allies, then this is a double resource, or it's just 1. But once you have 3, it's another triple resource in your deck. Oh, so good, especially with Hulk. 3 triple resources in his deck. It's just broken, and the fact that it's wild is just amazeballs. All right, and then to keep our allies, especially the Iron Man, Captain America, White Tigers, even Ant-Man, these 2 thwarters, which are super important in our deck. We have the United We Stands. So on stage 1, you heal 1. Stage 2. Now I did make a mistake in the video. And I looked at it. So there is a little place where I actually removed 2 on stage 1. So at the end, it wouldn't have made a difference. I looked at everything would have ended up fine. Iron Man had an extra 3 damage, where it was an extra card draw. I would have used anyway. You'll see in the end, and you'll see where the mistake happened, and then you'll see like, oh, did he have enough damage? I did have enough damage at the end. All right, I was flush for damage with the bonus. All right, and then Avengers Assemble to ready all these clowns up, and then just do it again. So there you go. So that is the solo version of this deck, and again versus Kang. With the Master of Time, oh my God, I was playing heroic almost the entire game. Basically I had 2 encounter cards every turn. Every turn I had double encounter cards. So I was playing heroic the entire game. It was just crazy. So, but it was super fun. We did manage to win. We did finish with like 3 health, or I think we should have been at 4 health, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so that is the solo version of this deck, and then we'll showcase another version where we are playing this for multiplayer with the new cards. Oh my God, the new cards are so good. All right, so let's talk about a multiplayer version of this deck. So the only extra card I would add for a multiplayer version of this deck is a second copy of Avengers Assemble, and the only other thing I would change, and I would remove Wonder Man and to put in a Maria Hill. And that's just for, again, if you can get Maria Hill early game. But then after that, you can only play her in the beginning of the game. So if you don't get her after that, once you have your Avengers limit, if you have your Avengers tower there, don't play her. It's not worth it. You're better off with whatever it is you get. So you have 9 allies plus Maria Hill. It's super solid, trust me. So, and then the second Avengers Assemble is just to make sure that you get the you get that bonus when you do the strength in numbers for like 5 or 6, and then you can just ready everyone and just and do it again. Or you just do double strength in numbers and then have a 12 card hand, which is with Hulk just stupid, because you could just like double Hulk smash or stuff like that. Again, it takes a few minutes. It's a leadership deck, so it takes a few minutes to set up. But once you have that, again, this deck is just bonkers. You have some healing, so you can use your allies when you need to, and then after that it's just attack with the Avengers Assemble there, and the Earth's Mightiest. It's basically a permanent +2/+2 to your guys. It just, you can do like 40-50 damage like a couple turns in a row there. It's pretty sick. But again, don't use your allies. If you're in a multiplayer game, don't use the allies unless it's absolutely necessary. Okay, unless you're gonna lose, we need to get rid of that extra encounter card. All right, cool, I'm gonna use that guy. But you want to save your allies, so your strength in numbers always triggers, your bands together trigger, so you have all of these moments where you have lots of resources and can do lots of things. Everyone says Hulk can't do anything, but if you take the time and set your game straight, you build your allies, seriously, you'll do 1 deck pass. Your first deck pass is going to be the slowest, but after that, you're just going to be on fire and you're just going to laugh. And the fact that you have 10 allies in your deck, it's just going to go that much faster. So you play your ally, strength in numbers, cool, flip down. Even if you need to flip down once or twice, or even stay in Hulk form and just defend. until you like are low on health and have no choice. Obviously, solo play is a little different, but in multiplayer, it's you have a lot of wiggle room. All right, so there it is for the deck in multiplayer. Not a lot of change, but again, you guys can change however you want. But this is a super solid Hulk deck, solo or multiplayer. Enjoy the game. All right, guys. So for the last deck is Hulk Basics. Basically, super simple, regardless if it's multiplayer or just a solo play. It's all about the resources. So obviously you have the three doubles and the two powers of gray. You just have all the amazing allies: Heimdall, Nick Fury, War Machine, Lockjaw, Mockingbird, Spider-Man, and this. So Hulk, like Hulk can't do it alone. So Hulk needs his friends. Aside from that, again for support cards, always the ones that we can play the best. And you also have just put in a crew quarters. Obviously, the object of the game is to deck thin as much as possible. A couple of honorary Avengers, and that's mostly for Heimdall to keep him awake, and maybe even what's his face there, War Machine, because he has the tough status card. So give him a couple more activations, makes it even better. Or you just put it on yourself, whichever comes first. But at least one on Heimdall, and then after that you got some plasma pistols. So this is just for the if something's tough, you can just knock out a tough. These are just easy weapons. It's just one damage, but that one damage that removes the tough, and it's not an attack, is perfect, and it comes with 6. So that's 3 tough removers, and that is what you want, especially when you want to do a big gamma slam, Hulk smash, and then you have everything you need except there's the villain stuff. You're like, oh, really? So that can be annoying. All right, so def focus to reduce downtime and endurance, and a target acquired, always good. And the only events we're going to be running is an invulnerability. You can change that if you don't like this card. I always appreciate it gives you a tough status card. It's once in a while, it's like, oh, I have nothing else to play, poof, and I'll give myself a tough, and you get a it's not bad. I really don't hate this card. And then a couple of first aids to make sure that Heimdall and War Machine stay in play the entire game. And that's it, man. It is super simple. And then if the only changes I would make to this deck for a multiplayer setting is I would probably remove a bunch of allies. I would keep Heimdall, Nick Fury, Lockjaw, and then I would probably kill everyone else and just put all stuff for other people, like downtimes and endurances or honorary Avengers, and just thin out your Hulk deck and then just do Hulk things really, really fast. And yeah, and I would add a Queen Carrier. I would add a Helicarrier to this Queen Carrier, and just like I said, just empty your deck super fast, and then just do Hulk things. And again, it's super, super simple. Deck thinning is what basics can do with all these super cheap cards. Between the 3 holsters, even if you don't need to, you could just put 3 holsters, 3 honorary Avengers. There's strength resources as well, so you're like, whatever. You can use them to do power up your stuff. And then, yeah, just like, again, plasma pistols, very good. Even if you're playing in multiplayer, so it makes perfect sense. So that's it. Hulk Basics is a known quantity, and let's just play it against something that's going to be interesting. So, all right, let's check it out.